just like that, it is in there. You can see how much I've got it clocked from back here. It is really leaned over to give me the clearance where I want it. But it sure makes it nice back there by the firewall. I've got all kinds of room to work. Bell housing bolts are all nice and out there in the open. And you can see my motor mounts here. There they are. And the turbo just fits around everything. So it's pretty perfect as far as that goes. Again, I'm going to do a different track bar that just goes straight. That should fix my clearance issues there on the oil pan. It's about an inch away right now, but yeah, my winch from the ceiling really works nice for these bigger vehicles. You can just go up clear to the ceiling then, so that's nice as well. Plus the remote control, so you can do it one-handed. Anyway, we got that there, but it is going to have to go back on the back burner now because we have got some issues to go over with the Toyota. So a little bit of back, I guess, history. I haven't really went over anything issue-wise that I've had with this thing, but, or at least besides the head gasket when I was first putting it in. But the Acme plate that I have has dowel pins, and they assure me it is the updated, for sure, centered one. But I've gone through 2 clutches now, and I just lost it again. Pretty much what happens is they do a brass bushing for the pilot, and it eats that bushing out, wallows it out to just crazy big, and then eventually the clutch disc breaks down, and once the clutch disc gets too loose, I quit being able to push the clutch in. The center force clutch is nice. It's strong enough that it can take it. So I don't ever I have to drive without a clutch, but even if it goes out on me, it still holds together to get home. So I do like how bulletproof those center force clutches are, or at least so far what I've seen. But anyway, I don't know. I'm assuming that this adapter is crooked, and they have quit producing them. They don't support them anymore. So they pretty much said I'm kind of out of luck. And I don't know. I got the adapter for $300 used. I don't have anything in it, but I do kind of want to make it work. I don't have time to try to recenter it right now. I've talked to guys that have made their own, and it's a lot of trial and error. So for now, I got the Doomsday kit actually uses a bearing. Here, let me go grab that. So I got the part number and ordered a couple of these bearings. They're pretty dang small. I almost wonder if you could fit 2 of them in the crank on these Volkswagens, but I think I want to experiment with these and see if this adapter is a little crooked, it would possibly be able to, this bearing can handle that, and if it would last any longer. I mean, I can't really complain. I've talked to you guys about payoff on these things. I've went 20,000 miles on every clutch. So I am literally almost to 40,000 miles on the swap. And I've gone through 2 clutches. But the thing's paid for itself. After 30,000 miles, I'm already just saving money everywhere I drive on this thing. So it is a little bit of a gamble, and who knows, maybe this will blow up and I'll only get a month out of it, but I want to try it out and see if it's close enough, because it's crazy that the transmission slides together perfect. The clutch lines up perfect. Everything looks good. So I just don't know how much off center it can handle. But that's usually about a 3 or 4 hour job for me with my lift and pull the tranny out. Well, we've got some combined issues here. I I didn't really go over it, but whenever we were test tuning the GTC 2262 turbo, that thing's obviously rated for way more boost than this engine can handle, or at least these rods can handle. And in that tuning phase, there was a point where it was spiking way too high, and of course it was a blast to drive. But I want to say I was trying to pass a semi that cut me off, and you know how that goes. I ended up just flooring it from probably 2500 RPM, which is normally a safe limit for where you can start giving an ALH a lot of boost. But I mean, if you've watched the videos, we were experimenting with 36 pounds of boost. I want to say we hit somewhere in the range of 42 to 46 psi when it was spiking out of control. And after that incident, I had a cold misfire, which, if you guys have had any issues with these things at all, pretty guaranteed bent rod. So I did a compression test, and sure enough, cylinder 1 was clear down at 230 psi compression, and cylinder 2 was down to, I want to say, 280 or 290, and then it went up from there. Like 3 was 320, and number 4 was clear up at like 370. So that is some crazy difference in compression. But what's crazy is I didn't have time to mess with it, and it still ran, so I kind of limped it along. Well, it sort of quit misfiring. You could tell that the rod was bent, but I have went over a year and almost 15,000 miles on these bent rods, and this thing is still chugging along. I can't believe that these things can handle being abused like that, but it does. And honestly, I was getting ready to pull the engine out and put the rods in. I even contemplated doing it in the bay, but since the clutch went out, I need to pull the engine out anyway. And I was going to do the H-beam rods, and we'd be set to throw some boost at it, except that I kind of wonder, I want to figure out the clutch disc issue before I put too much power to this thing. Well, that on top of that, about that time frame, I noticed that I had coolant running down my block. And I don't know how long it took it or how long it's been broke, but I think when I was fighting my head gasket, when I first put this engine in, I think I over tightened number 1 or number 2 head stud, and I have a hairline crack right here, which you can pretty much tell it's right below the head bolt. I think those head studs went all the way down, and then when I tried over tightening them, I think I tried getting up to 140 foot-pounds of torque just to see if I could get it to hold, which obviously hindsight, that was a big mistake because it's pretty well sealed up for the most part. But in the summertime when it gets really hot and I'm getting the pressures up in the coolant and I'm running a lot of boost, you will see this. You can kind of see residue right here of it running down. And so I have a coolant passage right there apparently, and I just don't know the extent of the crack. So that all combined, if you noticed I was cleaning up another engine in the last video, we are going to swap in a different engine for now. And I thought about doing the rods on it, but again, I don't think this is going to be my high horsepower build, at least until I put a few years on the clutch idea and see if that has any issues. I think we're just going to kind of detune this thing, keep it around. I mean, not slow by any means, but I think I'm going to shoot more for 180, maybe 200 horsepower, and not have crazy 36 pounds of boost and who knows, close to 250 horse right now. So I guess all that to say, we're going to pull this engine out and we are going to stick in the other one. I've got it pretty well set up and ready to go, and obviously it's pretty slick. Everything's already done here, so I just got to unhook all the accessories, pull them all off to the side, and I already kind of got started here so I could show you that crack. But that is the plan, and so just wanted to go over that stuff with you guys. Issues I've seen. Obviously, you can't really have an issue with an Acme plate anymore because they don't make them. And yeah, I definitely would recommend not over torquing your head because that did not work well for me. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. We're going to see how slick this is to pull out. I'm going to get the radiator out of the way. The AC condenser should be alright, but just want to make sure we don't smash anything. And we'll get this thing pulled out. Alright, well I was going to video pulling this out, but got a little carried away here. So there's the Toyota engine out of the truck. It was starting to get some oil leaks and stuff, but anyway, the big thing is I wanted to pull this clutch off the back here and check out the damage, because that's pretty much what stopped me here. And just like before, the basically, well, you can see the carnage there. The that brass bushing just cannot hold up to whatever is going on with it being crooked, I guess is what it is. But anyway, you can see here for size comparison how big of a hole it reamed out. Basically, I mean, it's still not crazy, but I mean it is crazy. You can't have more than 100ths or whatever that measurement is for it being off. And basically once it reams it out that much, then you can see here this center gets loose, and it actually cracked it right here. So these springs were trying to come out, and I think that's what actually stopped it from being able to spin. That, and it starts wearing on the outer edge of it. But it's pretty interesting. It really doesn't hurt the pressure plate or the flywheel. Still looks great. So again, this happened to me about 20,000 miles ago. So that's where we're at. And again, there's a lot of ways I could fix it, but I'm going to see if this bearing can hold up, because that would sure make it slick to be able to keep using this. I'm not too worried about if it's a little crooked. If it works, it works, because like I say, this clutch seems to be able to hold on to it until the point of that that pilot bushing being completely gone. So obviously this can't wear out like that. It would have to pretty much throw the balls out of the center. So we'll just kind of have to see what it does. I'm willing to take a gamble. Like I say, I just really don't have much in this at all. But anyway, getting into this engine bay here, I have a lot of cleaning to do. It was, well, so my motor mounts are up pretty high, just the way I did them. And then you can see that one I had to cut out for, I didn't plan on putting the AC in there, so of course I had to try to chop it all out, and that was fun. But anyway, yeah, the biggest thing is when I did this swap, this was back pre me doing anything with the electrical at all, so you can kind of see there, but I've got the whole wiring harness from the car coming out and all over the back of there. It's just a mess. And so I was hoping to just throw this thing back in and run, but I'm gonna have to redo all this stuff. I gotta clean this up now that I have it out. I can't put it back in. So anyway, probably not gonna go over everything there, but I'll show you guys what I get it looking like once I get it cleaned up, and we'll get the other engine over here and swap everything over, and get it ready to put back in. And we'll get a nice wiring harness for it, and we'll be good to go. So that's it for this video. We'll see you next time.